Hello, ASNZ. This is Wombles from WMA Wellington Milsom Airsoft. Now, I'm going to give you guys just a brief chat on the WE PDW, but more importantly, how to repair and restore your PDW M16 SCAR M4 series GBBs back to their original factory with the semi and full auto. Now there's several ways to do this. I'm going to show you essentially how to identify your trigger pack from your semi-autoed series rifle, and how to initially actually remove the thing so you can identify your trigger pack, and what part you will need in order to restore it. Now there's a cheap way and there's an expensive way, and it really depends on how it's been modified. As they were brought in through several different companies over the years, there's been several different ways to modify them, and one is through the trigger set itself. Part of the the proper name for it is the trigger disconnector, and the other one was done through the barrel selector. And if you were really the selector barrel, and if you're really unlucky, it was done through both. So this will be a basic demonstration on how to strip it down, how to get the thing out, how to identify it, and if you've got the easy way to do it, essentially you've got the good trigger pack with the damaged barrel, how to put it back together and actually get the damn thing working again as it should be factory. Now to demonstrate, I've got several PDWs myself. Now, typical black, tan, doesn't really matter, they're all the same. And for those that are wondering, the trigger packs themselves, or thought the shells are different, they all look like that. They're all the same. Doesn't matter whether it's the I think even the G36 is the same in the WE series, but the M4s, SCARs, PDWs, M16s, this is what it looks like. I'm going to show you how to get this thing out of it first. Now, just to show you that this one is semi-automatic, straight out the bat. Just quickly gas up the mag. A leaky mag, but better than none. Okay. There's obviously no BBs in here. It's Wellington anniversary, so those of you who felt the decent earthquake, I pooped a little. Okay. And you can see it is just on semi. If I flick that thing onto automatic, so you can see this is truly semi-automatic. Okay. Disassembly is fairly simple. You can do it with really basic tools, and I'm going to demonstrate that now. It is a little bit time consuming. Okay. Right. Not the best camera in the world, guys, but you'll have to bear with me. Right. First thing is to knock out the pins, the retaining pins here. Okay. They're still connected to the lower receiver, but you've got to push them out. I find it always best to actually push out the front one first. Otherwise, if you push out the back one, it tends to hang up a bit. So, okay. Now that should come apart. Should, being the optimum word. Next stage is underneath. Actually, I'll start with this bastard thing here. Most of you have got these clips on the side. All they're essentially for is retaining. There's a pin here. It's keeping that thing in place. I got rid of mine because I was sick of it falling off. So it's up to you. But these just literally slide out. The other reason I hate it is because it's really easy when you take them off to do that. So yeah. But hopefully this isn't something you got to do on a regular basis. First stage. There's a big whopping screw in the back there. Number 2 Phillips. And we're going to take that out. Okay. When you take this off, do it slowly. There is actually a spring. Okay. this thing here, what it does is it pushes up a pin, this thing here, okay? And that's what puts tension on the selector. So it's really important that you don't lose those. If you've got them, use a small plastic container to put your pieces in them as you're going about, otherwise you'll be really hacked off. Next stage is to remove the selector. Now you can remove screws from both sides, but to make it easier on yourself, I believe this is a 5/16. This is actually imperial. I haven't actually tried metric to see if it works, but this thing fits perfectly, so remove this off the right hand side. Okay, this is the side with the magazine release. This is a fairly small screw. So I'm just going to put that there. In fact, I'll even put it there. Now, flip it over. There's a little bar just up here. Pull that forward. This makes the whole operation easier. And then grab this. And what it does is, by not removing both screws, it allows you to take the whole damn thing out in one piece. Now, a little tip, in order so you don't lose it, just put those back together. Okay, and just put it on one side. Right, with that out, the next stage is to loosen, not completely remove just yet. There's a screw just at the back here. I use a number 1 Phillips for this. We don't want to go to the number 2 instead. A number 2 will work, but the number 1. The reason we don't want to completely remove this just yet is because there's a retaining pin that we need to knock out, and it's quite difficult to tap this retaining pin out if you remove this screw, because it suddenly puts all the pressure on the front. Look, if you want to go for it, go ahead, but this is just from past experience. Now, where's my... yeah, that's where my hammer would be. Now we just need to tap this out, okay? So we can see it's this pin here. The other two don't actually come out, it's just this one here. So we'll just put that there. And this pin should slide out. There we go. We'll put that again, put that to one side. Now we can continue with removing this screw at the back here. Come on, you bugger. And as you can see, the trigger pack's starting to slide out. Now, again, don't just rip the damn thing out, because on the right-hand side, WE loves springs, unsecured springs at that. You don't want to lose this thing. Again, it's a pain in the ass, especially if you're like me, carpet, long-haired fluffy dogs. Yeah. So when you remove this thing, flip it the other way, or place it down very gently, or remove the spring and put it somewhere safe. Okay. Another bit of note is this piece of steel here. That's actually just sitting in there. Okay. And you can see there, this is where the pin for putting the tension goes on, and then the spring actually goes up behind it. Right, now, identifying your trigger pack. Okay. I've got 2 trigger packs. I've got another 2 trigger packs here, one that's more opened. So I'm just going to put this to one side. Now, if you are unlucky, okay, when you've removed your trigger pack, and you look on the back of it, I've removed some of the parts is on the disconnector here, I'll just get the torch so you can see a bit better. Right. Now, you see, just there, that is the trigger disconnector. And on the end, it's actually been snapped off. That should be a good 10 to 12 mil longer, okay? If you're unlucky, this is the modification that they've actually done to semi-automatic, these things, okay? It's not all doom and gloom though. Usually if you've had this done, you've actually got a non-modified barrel selector. They're a little bit more hard to work out what they are, and the only reason I say that is because they only need to shave a minor amount off them before they don't function as they're meant to. Now, if you're a lucky boy or girl, you'll have one of these. Now, inside here, let's see if I can get this camera angle. If you have a look there, you see how that's nice and long and it goes all the way back there? That is a non-modified trigger pack. Essentially, this trigger pack is how it comes from the factory. Now, a trigger disconnector you can get from a place called, I've just found this now, a place called Blowback Armory. I'll place a link to it. $33 US, and you'll get the trigger disconnector, the trigger spring set, and the trigger guide, and this is for the M4, M16, 4168 and the PDW series. Okay, and just to highlight that a bit better on the machine, this is the piece here which I'm talking about. Alright, now usually it's this piece here that's actually been snapped off, but if you're lucky this piece is still actually intact. Okay. Now, the next stage is the barrel selectors. What's really handy is if you can actually get one of the, if you find someone who's selling a PDW that's actually, maybe they've dropped it, cracked the receiver and it's no good to them, and they're selling it cheap, have a look at it, because you may be able to end up doing a very quick conversion, especially if you can get it off them quite cheaply. Now, it's quite difficult to determine which of these has been modified and which hasn't. And one of the only ways I've so far been able to tell, sorry, I've got to try and get this in the camera better, is if you have a look, now there's a notch protrusion that sits at the bottom here, okay? This is what puts pressure on the disconnector, and this is what allows it to go into full auto, because it retracts the sear back and stops the trigger from re-engage. It stops the disconnector from re-engaging, which allows full auto fire. Now, some of these they look like they've been worn or ground. Generally, if this is quite silver on the top or rounded off, usually it means it's been ground down. Whereas this one here and this one here, as you can see, it's got all of its original factory bluing on it. So this is a good indication that this one is actually not modified. But like I said, it's an indication, and you can't tell really until you install them. But the good thing is, this is a piece of piss to actually remove. So the main thing is getting that, making sure you identify that trigger pack, and if it's a good one, you know, yay for you. Right. Double checking so I don't install the Duff one back in it. It's the whole process in reverse. So, without knocking the spring, slide the trigger pack You may need to just put the push the bolt release over slightly. Okay. Once that's in place, take our screw. In the same process as before, screw it in, but don't tighten it all the way up, otherwise you'll have a hard job getting that pin in. And guys, if you want more information on this, feel free to drop me a line. If you do buy one of those trigger disconnector packs, best talk to your armourer, as they do require a little bit of technical expertise to actually put them back together. However, if you're willing to give it a go yourself, you know, go hard. It's the only way you learn is by trial and error. Okay. Now we need to not do what I've just done there. Put the retaining pin back in. A plastic hammer is really good for this. Just a little mel. Or if you're really dodgy like me, the back of a screwdriver. Right, with that back in, we now want to put our barrel selector back in. Now remember what I was saying before, we're wanting the one that essentially does not look modified, still remains factory. I'm going to slide that bugger in. Yeah, main purpose of this video was essentially to show you which part ideally you need to pick up, provided your circumstances of how it's been butchered. If you're lucky, you may only have to spend, $5 Hong Kong 111, which is an excellent source of complete replacement parts for WEs. A lot of factory parts. Oh, come on. Electric screwdrivers are our friend. Right, we just want to test that for the tension, make sure it's all good. Make sure the trigger's still working. Now we're going to see if this makes a liar out of me. And to be fair, I have not actually tested this at all prior to doing this, so if this works, it'll be an ultimate success. If not, I'm going to look like an absolute fool. But then again, I wouldn't have posted the video, so... Sweet sound of full auto. Well, guys, I hope that I know it was a bit of a mesh of a video, but I hope that helps. Check the links I put down for those replacement parts, and if you've got any questions, give us a PM on the forums. Peace out.